Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
Wisdom or folly. All right. Let's read Proverbs Chapter 9, verses 1 and 2. So the first leadership lesson is build before you lead. Build before you lead. All right, let's listen to that. Verses 1 and 2.
Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her meat. She has mixed her wine. She has also furnished her table.
So wisdom has built a house. So wisdom is portrayed as a builder, establishing foundation, preparing a table, and planning with intention. Strong leadership is constructed long before authority is exercised. One of my mentor, Brian Tracy, used to say all the time, you have to measure twice and cut once. Preparation is really what's going to help you be more successful. Having that long-term perspective, prepare before you execute. You're just doing it for a very small amount of time for your organization, and after a while, you're going to make room for somebody else. So that doesn't last forever. I came from the Republic of the Congo. That's where I am originally from. And today, the president who's president of the Congo today is the same one who was president when I was born, if you can believe that. It's been 40 plus years now. He is still in office. But the truth is, at some point, even if you are a dictator, gravity, life is going to happen. And at some point, you will pass away. So you cannot be president for life. And somebody else is going to take over, whether through an election or if you have a constitution like we do in the US that only allows 2 terms for a president. But at some point, you will no longer be president of your country or in charge of your organization. No, it's inevitable. It is just life. So be a good steward while you are in charge. Take care of your people. Focus on your mission and do what is good for your organization and your people. All right. Okay, I am coming to you from another location today. So welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast. And I'm going to try to keep this consistent. I'm still going to be out of town tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, but I will do my best to meet you here. Actually, tomorrow we are going to have a great interview. So I am really, really, truly looking forward to it. I'm going to let you know all about it in just a moment. So welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast. And like every day this month, you guys know I am just so excited, right? Grateful for Black History Month, right? I believe every day this month we are going to celebrate Black history because Black history is American history. So I kind of have 2, I guess, vignettes to celebrate that. One is what happened in history today. Today is February the 9th. So what happened on February the 9th during our history. And then also I want to celebrate American military first, right? African American first in the military. So let's start with what happened today. So on February 9, let me share my screen. On February 9, 1960, 4 weeks before her high school graduation, the home of Carlotta Walls was bombed. And this is during the segregation. The U.S. had to send Marshall to the school there in Little Rock, Arkansas, because the governor actually used the National Guard to make sure that blacks or Negroes, like they called them back then, wouldn't mix with their white kids in school. So Carlotta Walls was just 14 years old, and she became the youngest member of the Little Rock Nine, the 9 black students who integrated Little Rock Central High School in 1957. 3 years after Brown v. Board of Education declared segregation school unconstitutional. That courage came at a devastating cost. So in September 1957, Arkansas Governor Orval Forbes, he ordered the National Guard to block black students from entering the school only after President Dwight D. Eisenhower federalized the guard, where the student escorted inside through mobs, threats, and daily terror. Can you imagine that? A black kid just wanting to go to school just to get an education, and this is the kind of nonsense they had to go through. It's really unbelievable, isn't it? And this is only like in the 60s, so it's not that long ago. This is not like ancient history. This was after World War II. That is pretty crazy, isn't it? But despite harassment, isolation, and violence, Charlotta stayed in school. Then on February 9, 1960, a bomb exploded at her family's home while she and her mother and her sister were inside. Can you believe that? Some white supremacist, vicious, racist, good for nothing, wanting to kill this young girl just because she wanted to go to school. How does that make sense? But thank God for a miracle, no one was killed. And instead of pursuing the real perpetrator, the police arrested and brutally beat her father, which again doesn't make any sense. And 2 young black men, friends of the family, were later convicted, despite Carlotta believes that they were innocent. Anyway, this is what happened in our very complicated history here in America, February 9, 1960. All right, let's talk about something a lot more positive. Let's talk about the very first African American who graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point. Yesterday, we talked about the first one who was admitted. Unfortunately, he didn't graduate, but this is the first African American who actually did graduate. The honor goes to Henry Ocean Flipper. So Henry Ocean Flipper was not the first African American, again, admitted to the academy, but he was the very first one to endure, persevere, and graduate. So he was born into slavery in Thomasville, Georgia, 1856, and Flipper entered West Point in 1873. He did so in an environment shaped by isolation, hostility, and daily racism, even in the U.S. Army, if you can believe that. Like those before him, he was ostracized by fellow cadets, forced to eat alone, and subjected to constant taunts designed to break his resolve. But they all failed. In 1877, Henry Ocean Flipper became the very first African American graduate of West Point, and here he is. Very proud, a Army officer, and the very first one who graduated from the academy. All right, so we do want to remember history. So I'm going to play a short video about, again, what happened, the unfortunate event of February 9, 1960 in Little Rock, Arkansas. Here we go.
What about you, sir? Do you think the colored students will show up?
If I got anything to do with it, they won't show up. Well, I think it's a breaking point of the school integration. I just don't feel that they have a right to go to school with them.
It is easy to believe today that we are an enlightened society, free from problems of race, gender, or economic separation. But some of the most difficult lessons we learn are a result of individuals who push us through these divisive barriers. In September of 1957, 9 black school children, the eldest only 17, forced us through such a blockade. They sought a better education for themselves and the opportunity to pursue the American dream.
This is Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas. Troops, which for nearly 3 weeks lined the sidewalk here in front of the high school, under orders to keep the colored students out, have been replaced now. And their orders to comply with the law, which means let the Negro students in if they come in.
We were Terrence Roberts, Jefferson Thomas, Thelma Mothershed, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Carlotta Walls, Melba Patillo, Minnie Jean Brown, and Gloria Ray.
They became known as the Little Rock Nine. The 1954 Supreme Court ruling on Brown versus the Board of Education found segregation of schools unconstitutional. But as the Little Rock Nine approached the high school, segregationists swarmed the campus.
They got no business out here. This is our school, not theirs. They are their own.
As the violence escalated, one schoolgirl, Elizabeth Eckford, was threatened by an angry mob chanting, "Lynch her, lynch her." President Dwight Eisenhower intervened in Little Rock and set a precedent for our nation as a whole.
Such an extreme situation has been created in Little Rock. This challenge must be met, and with such measures as will preserve to the people as a whole their lawfully protected rights in a climate permitting their free and fair exercise. In the present case, the troops are there pursuant to law, solely for the purpose of preventing interference with the orders of the court.
On September 25, 1957, the 101st Airborne Division and 10,000 National Guard troops escorted the Little Rock Nine as they walked bravely past screaming mobs and made their way to the classrooms of Little Rock Central High School.
Just got a report here on this end that the students are in.
Do you feel it's worth it going through this?
Yes, I do.
These 9 heroes were willing to step forward and in doing so altered the course of history. Marquette University is honored to bestow upon them the Pierre Marquette Discovery Award for this extraordinary contribution to the advancement of education for all people. The Little Rock Nine stand not just for racial equality, but also for the promise upon which our society is founded: opportunity and equality for all willing to strive, struggle, and achieve.
All right, so that's the celebration for Black History Month. We are in February in the US. And I'm going to play 2 artificial intelligence recap of the podcast I had on January 9th, where we studied Proverbs Chapter 9. Again, this is not a religious study, but this is being mentored from the book of Proverbs, but really seeking ancient wisdom and leadership lesson from the book of Proverbs. So we are going to get the 10-minute summary of Proverbs Chapter 9, all done with artificial intelligence. And tomorrow at 3 p.m. California time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, so Washington, D.C., Atlanta, I'm going to have a live interview with the one and only Lisa V. She's an AI ethics strategist, entrepreneur, best-selling author of Go, Rebuilding Career in the Age of AI is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So for Season 5, Episode 29. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be live here on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. All right. So now let's listen first to a 7-minute AI recap of, again, Proverbs Chapter 9, and then we're going to have a 10-minute recap of the same. And after that, I'm going to play 2 more highlights from the original broadcast episode from January 9, and that should be the end of it. So while you are listening, I'd like to hear from you. Please let me know where you are joining us from, what city, what state, and what you are grateful for today. And also your 3 to 5 takeaways after listening to the AI recap. And most importantly, what is one leadership principle you are going to apply today, this week? And I believe as you put this into practice, it is going to have a significant impact on your life and those you influence. All right, let's go for the first AI recap. It's about 7 minutes long. Here we go.
We tend to think leadership is all about these big, heroic moments, right? But what if the most important leadership decisions are actually the small, quiet ones we make every single day? Well, today we're going to dig into some really powerful ancient wisdom on that very idea, coming straight from the book of Proverbs. And this right here, it just perfectly captures the whole idea. See, true leadership isn't really about that one-time crisis or the big dramatic speech. Nope. It's built in the consistent daily choices we make, especially when nobody's looking. It's this quiet process of accumulation. The source material frames this whole daily process as a fundamental choice. Every single day, a leader is basically standing at a crossroads, and you get two competing invitations, one from a voice called wisdom and the other from a voice called folly. So let's break down what that choice actually looks like. So this is it. This is the core conflict for any leader. It's this constant decision between two very, very different ways of approaching influence, problems, and, people. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day. Wisdom is like being an architect. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's transparent. Folly, on the other hand, is all about noise and speed. It screams for your attention, it's always looking for the easy way out, and this is crucial. It hides the real cost. One builds lasting trust. The other just creates this temporary illusion of progress. All right, so first, let's take a walk down the path of wisdom. The source material talks about this not as some abstract philosophy, but as a deliberate process of construction. It's about actually building something that's meant to last. Turns out, this path of wise leadership is built on 4 key pillars, and each one stacks on top of the last, creating this really solid foundation for influence that actually endures. Let's break them down. Man, this first pillar is so perfectly illustrated by this quote. You have to build the systems, build the character, and build the discipline before you get tested. A leader who's always just reacting is a leader who hasn't done the prep work. Real strength comes from the infrastructure you build in those quiet moments. Now for the second pillar, communication. But think about how this is framed. Clarity is generosity. That's huge. When you're ambiguous or vague, you're basically putting a tax on your team's time and energy. They have to waste cycles just guessing what you mean. But when you are crystal clear, you honor them and you empower them to move forward with confidence. Let's get to the third pillar. And honestly, this is a big one. Leadership isn't about how you perform when everyone's cheering for you. It's about how you react when someone has the guts to tell you you're wrong. Your response to criticism, well, it's a massive tell for your maturity as a leader. Now, this is a pretty powerful concept. A wise leader doesn't just tolerate feedback, they actively seek it out. They see correction not as an attack, but as a gift, an opportunity to get better. They can find the kernel of truth even in poorly delivered criticism. And that right there is what fuels real growth. And the final pillar is reference, or you could just call it humility. A general once said this, and it just sums it up perfectly. Your title, your position on the org chart, it's all temporary. It's rented. It's a stewardship. The only thing you truly own is the trust you build. And that means recognizing you're accountable to something bigger than your own ego. Okay, so now let's pivot. Let's look at that other invitation, the seductive and ultimately destructive path of folly. In our world of constant pressure for quick results and viral moments, this is the path of easy answers. And man, is it tempting. Folly is so appealing on the surface. It often comes packaged with tons of charisma and this loud, bulletproof confidence, promising you the world without the hard work. It's kind of like the leadership equivalent of chasing clicks over creating substance. But the reality? It's a totally different story. That charisma can hide incompetence, noise is not the same as wisdom, and those easy paths, they always have hidden costs. And this right here? This is folly's sales pitch. The shortcut, the secret deal, the thing that feels like you're getting away with something, it feels good in the moment. It's a really tempting offer. And there's the punchline. That's the hidden consequence. The stolen water leads to a place of decay, a place of collapse. The price for that shortcut is always paid. Eventually. So the crucial point here is that these aren't just one-off decisions, they are small, daily habits. And they add up over time, creating a very distinct trajectory for your leadership. Every single day, we make a choice. And the path of wisdom, integrity, clarity, humility, it compounds upward. It builds credibility, then trust, then lasting influence. But the path of folly, the shortcuts, the ego, the secrecy, it compounds downward. It erodes trust until eventually everything just collapses. It happens quietly and then all at once. So what does this all boil down to? At the end of the day, it's about this. The source uses a really powerful metaphor to bring it all home. Every leader, every day, is choosing which table to sit at. So, which table are you at? Is it the one that's built on patience and a real hunger for growth? Or is it the one that runs on flattery and hides the true cost of all its shortcuts? The foundation, the invitation, the response, and yeah, the outcome, they're polar opposites. So as we wrap this up, the big ideas are simple, but so powerful. Real leadership isn't about grand gestures. It's the sum total of your tiny daily choices. How you handle being told you're wrong says way more about you than when you're right. Remember that those small, consistent actions are what build a legacy that actually lasts. And please, never mistake the loudest voice in the room for the wisest one. Because in the end, your leadership is defined by one simple thing: the voice you choose to follow. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. It's really one for you to think about. When the pressure is on, when no one is around to see what you do, what is the anchor that holds your decisions firm? Because really, that answer defines everything.
Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving deep into an age-old piece of wisdom, a set of leadership lessons straight from Proverbs Chapter 9, where leadership isn't forged in a single defining moment, but built daily.
Absolutely, it's so true. Every day, every little decision shapes who we are as leaders, right?
Right, exactly. Proverbs 9 actually lays out two distinct invitations: the allure of wisdom versus the seductive pull of folly.
Yes, indeed. And both seem so legitimate at first glance, but only one truly leads to a legacy of integrity and growth.
Exactly. It's like you're standing at a crossroads, and the steps you take, from building character to handling correction, compound over time, determining whether you'll endure or crumble under pressure.
I love that imagery. And what really stood out to me was the idea of build before you lead. I mean, you can't simply thrust leadership upon a shaky foundation.
Yep, it's like before you even step into the spotlight, you've got to lay the groundwork, develop your character, your systems, and your culture. The wisdom here is measure twice, cut once before you delegate.
Right on. So true. And that concept of nurturing your organization before inviting others in really underscores that leadership is a long-term commitment, not just a title.
Exactly. And it's also about the choices we make. For instance, Lesson 5 reminds us that every decision, no matter how small, compounds over time. You build trust, or conversely, diminish your credibility bit by bit.
Absolutely. Right, it's like those daily habits add up. One moment of integrity builds trust, a currency that lasts far longer than a quick, easy win.
And then there's Lesson 2. Clarity is an act of leadership generosity. It's about being upfront, not with manipulation or ambiguity, but with a clear vision that invites people to grow.
That clarity really shows respect for your team. Exactly. There's no tax on confusion when your mission is clearly stated. A leader who communicates with clarity is essentially saying, I value you enough to be straightforward.
Precisely. And when you combine that with Lesson 3, which talks about how correction reveals character, you start to see the full picture. A leader who welcomes correction grows stronger, whereas one who fears it finds their foundation eroding.
Yes, absolutely. That's a critical point. Accepting feedback, even when it's wrapped in frustration, can be a true measure of maturity. It's almost like turning every critique into a stepping stone.
Right. I mean, it's not just about handling praise gracefully, but also about mining the gold out of even the hard criticism. Although I do wonder sometimes, shouldn't a certain level of confidence be celebrated too?
That's a fair observation, but I think the point is that loud confidence can be a distraction. Often it's more about the noise than the substance.
Exactly. And that brings us right into Lesson 6. Loud confidence is not competence. It's a caution that charisma or volume doesn't necessarily reflect true capability.
Yes, absolutely. It reminds me of those leaders who make grand promises with lots of fanfare, but then struggle when challenges actually hit. Real leadership isn't about the show, it's about consistent, disciplined action.
Exactly. And if you think about Lesson 7, it really sharpens that point. Short-term pleasure has long-term cost. There's a seductive comfort in shortcuts, but every time you opt for immediate gratification, you stake a claim on a future burden.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. It's like stealing a sip of sweet water, only to end up paying a heavy price later on. The hidden consequences eventually catch up with you.
Yes, and that idea, that every choice has hidden costs, is a constant reminder that leadership is, never neutral. It's a series of decisions guiding us toward either growth or decay.
Right, exactly. And tying it all together, Lesson 4 on reverence shows us that leadership must be anchored in humility and accountability. Without reverence, genuine respect for ethical values, leadership drifts into ego and entitlement.
Right, it's so essential to have that moral grounding. Without it, you might climb the ladder quickly, but you risk, losing your way when no one is watching.
Indeed. It's almost like in high-stakes arenas such as military or cybersecurity, that grounding is everything. It keeps decisions pure and focused on service rather than self.
Exactly. And the overarching message here is that leadership is a continuous choice. Every invitation you face, every decision you make, even those tiny moments, plays a role in shaping your legacy.
Absolutely right. It's humbling to realize that leadership isn't about the grand gestures alone. It's about daily intentional actions, like choosing short-term discipline over easy wins.
And that's where those reflective questions come in. Are we building for sustainability? Are we inviting growth? Are we embracing correction rather than silencing dissent? Each of these questions is a call to evaluate our leadership practices.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate how this approach isn't merely theoretical but provides practical steps. It's really a blueprint for ethical leadership, whether you're leading a tech team or a military unit.
And it's inspiring how timeless these lessons are. They remind us all, no matter our field, that our leadership is ultimately about the choices we make, the tables we set for our teams, and the legacy we will leave.
Absolutely, yes. And it's also a call for self-reflection. It subtly challenges us to ask, what am I neglecting in my leadership infrastructure? Or, is my clarity inviting growth or breeding confusion?
Exactly. It pushes us to be better every day. I mean, honestly, it's like every decision, every conversation, and every piece of feedback builds our leadership character.
Right on point. And when you put all these lessons together, from building a solid foundation and speaking with clear purpose to embracing correction and maintaining humility, they form a comprehensive framework for enduring leadership.
Yes, and one key takeaway is that the invitation to follow wisdom isn't given by circumstance, but chosen by us. It's a personal responsibility to be intentional and ethical in every step, even when the immediate rewards seem more tempting.
Exactly. Sometimes I think people underestimate how the aggregate of our choices shapes not only our own success, but the well-being of our teams and communities.
Precisely. Leadership is that daily act of choosing, the act of sitting at a table that builds sustainable trust and long-term success. Every single choice, sometimes the ones that go unnoticed, makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And it all circles back to the idea that leadership is never neutral. Every decision we make either pulls us toward growth or nudges us toward decay. It's a sobering but powerful reminder.
Yes, each invitation, each moment of correction or clarity truly defines us. It's that continuous process of self-evaluation and ethical decision-making that composes the art of good leadership.
Indeed it does. I'm really inspired by how these ancient words still speak to our modern challenges. They remind us that true leadership is about building character, not just a resume.
Exactly. Whether you're scaling a startup or commanding a team in a high-stakes environment like cybersecurity or the military, the principles remain the same.
Absolutely. This conversation really drives home the point. Every decision, every moment of clarity, every instance of correction is shaping our legacy as leaders. It's a call to be deliberate and thoughtful each day.
Well said. As we wrap up this chat, remember that real leadership is about choosing the right table, the one that leads to growth, trust, and ultimately lasting influence.
Right, indeed. Thanks for diving into these timeless lessons with me. It's empowering to realize that every moment counts and that we all have the capacity to build a legacy of wisdom and integrity.
Exactly. Every decision is a building block. Stay reflective, stay true to your values, and lead with purpose.
Until next time, keep making those choices that truly matter. Thanks for listening.
So, ego, I think, is fine, but too much ego can be very dangerous. So you have to keep your ego in check. So reverence keeps leadership aligned when power tempts distortion. All right, lesson number 5. Choices compound over time. That's verses 11 and 12. Choices compound over time.
For by me your days will be multiplied, and years of life will be added to you. If you are wise for yourself. And if you scoff, you will bear it alone.
Again, choices compound over time. Wisdom extends life and influence, but folly will accelerate self-destruction. Leaders live with the long-term consequences of their choices. There's another book here I would like to plug. I thought I had it here. Let me see. Yeah, this one. The Compound Effect by another one of my mentor, Darren Hardy. Great book. Jumpstart your income, your life, and your success. Really, the main idea from this book is in order for you to be successful, you have to do the right thing and keep doing the right thing until you see a result, right? Because most people who get in trouble, it doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time. And for the compound effect to kind of work on whatever seed you are planting. But eventually you will see the result, good or bad. So you have to have that long-term perspective, knowing that... all right, lesson number 6. Loud confidence is not competence. So verses 13, 14, and 15. Loud confidence is not competence.
A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knows nothing, for she sits at the door of her house, on a seat by the highest places of the city, to call to those who pass by, who go straight on their way.
All right, it is talking about the foolish woman here, but I'm talking about loud confidence is not competence. So folly is loud, simplistic, seductive, offering ease without effort. Right? Sometimes when it's too good to be true, it really is too good to be true. That's another thing that Brian Tracy taught me. People looking for quick fixes, easy money, where they don't have to work, they don't have to pay a price, and they want to get everything free. But when you do that, eventually you are going to fall into a ditch. Right? Poor leadership often masquerades as bold certainty. Sometimes it's very, very loud. You see advertising everywhere, but just because somebody is loud doesn't mean that they are right. So how do we apply this? Beware of leaders who promise outcomes without discipline, and test confidence against substance. So are you drawn to what is easy or what is right? There's a difference. There's usually a price to pay for what is right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.